Warning, those who implement what I'm about to discuss in this video are going to make so much money, their tax bills are going to massively increase and their operations are going to crumble. Proceed at your own risk. So I've closed over 1,000 SMA clients without taking a single sales call. And this is probably one of the most requested videos I've ever gotten on this channel. And as the great Warren Buffett says, if you don't find a way to make money in your sleep, you're going to work until the day that you die. So if you're the only one selling in your agency, you have a job. If you only have one sales rep, you have a liability. And if you have two sales reps, then you're just a glorified babysitter. Now, if you have a sales manager, you have a real business. Now, the first year of having a sales team for my last 7-figure marketing agency, we closed over 423 SMMA clients in a single year. And granted, I didn't take a single one of those sales calls. And if you guys smash that like button and we get up to 200 likes, I'm actually gonna even drop the full sales script that we used to close all 423 of those clients. So make sure you guys smash that like button. And once again, I didn't close a single one of them. For context, that's over $1,735,000 in contract value. Now, here's a screenshot of our Stripe dashboard. As you can see, in October, we did $60,000 that month in revenue. And then 3 months later, we hit $150,000. And once again, we didn't take a single one of those sales calls, and that makes my partner, Matt, feel like this. And guys, a sales team is a double-sided sword, right? It can propel your business, or it can absolutely destroy it. So let's go ahead and talk about the non-negotiables you must have before you can start building a sales team. Number one, you have to have a proven marketing system, plus a proven sales process. And once you have that, you're primed for scaling. So 2 things in a company: never stop selling, never stop recruiting. And this is probably the most underrated thing in sales is recruitment. And this is where so many agency owners and online entrepreneurs completely drop the ball. So if you interview the wrong hire, it can literally cost you double their annual salary. So for example, if you're paying them $100,000 a year, it's gonna cost you $200,000 if you hire the wrong person. And all of those costs are attributed to, ad spend, opportunity costs, training time, reputation damage that they might cause. So let me go ahead and break down how I interview all of my sales reps. And by the way, guys, I recorded a video a few months ago and it's on the channel of a live interview of me interviewing a closer. So if you want to check out that video, make sure you just click up above and it'll be in the cards. So this is the exact interview script that we've used to literally hire dozens of sales reps and setters, right? So we actually did group interviews for our 7-figure agency. And the reason why we did that is because rather than hopping on an interview with 20 or 30 people and doing individual 30-45-minute interviews, we just put a bunch of people in an interview. So it was about 10 people in a Zoom and we would ask them each questions. This saved us so much time, but we weren't spending all of our time focused on finding candidates. So this is the framework that we use. So let's go ahead and break it down, right? So a few quick things that we're looking for. Are they a company and division fit, right? Are they a culture fit? Culture is one of those woo-woo things that I never truly understood until I started building and managing a team. And once again, if you want to get to that 7-figure level, if you want to get to that 8-figure level, you need to understand how to build a team because you can't do it by yourself. That's the difference between a solopreneur and a real entrepreneur, right? But the only way you can actually do that is if you understand culture. It's the only way you can actually scale your team. The only way you're going to be able to attract A-player talent is if you have a good culture. So I want to make sure that they are a good culture fit. That's the first thing I'm looking for. I can always train on skills, but I can't train on culture and how to be a good person and how to be a part of a team, right? Number 2, are they self-aware and do they have some degree of emotional intelligence, right? Do they have purpose? Do they have goals, right? I want salespeople that are super ambitious. I don't want a salesperson that just wants to make $3,000 and then they give up. I want a salesperson who wants to make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in a single month, because if they make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in a single month, and that's their monetary goal, that means that they have to make me hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to make that same amount of money. So I want someone who's super, super passionate about making a lot of money, because all in all, it's gonna make me a lot of money. So someone who's very ambitious is an absolute must. Next, have they done hard things before, right? I don't want a closer who grew up in an environment where participation trophies were normal. I want a closer who realizes they have to work. I want a closer who realizes that life isn't easy. It's not all butterflies and rainbows. That sometimes it's gonna be difficult because sales is super, super tough, especially online high ticket sales, especially SMMA sales. So we need someone who's been in those dark places before, because we need to know that they have the persistence to keep fighting, to keep going. And then last but not least, are they a hard worker? That's what I'm looking for when I'm interviewing closers. So guys, I have a whole list of questions that we asked for the group interview. Now I'm not going to do that now because this isn't a video about interviewing people, right? So we'll say that for another video. But if you guys want all the questions, if you want the document, comment down below. I'll send it to you for free and get that over to you. But I do want to talk about my favorite screening interviews. And this is what we do in the 101 process, right? So we do a group interview first, then we do a private 101 interview with them if they pass the group interview. And then the last interview, we do 3 interviews. It's a quality control interview just to validate and ask them the same questions all over again to make sure their answers haven't changed and make sure we spot any red flags, right? So let me go over some of my favorite screening interviews questions. And guys, I have to give credit to Cole Gordon because I stole these questions from him and I've been using them for years and they are so good, right? So some of my favorite questions are like, describe your sales philosophy, right? I've hired so many closers that had a totally different outlook on sales and the philosophy behind closing a deal. And the only thing that did was create a lot of tension. It created a lot of arguments because they didn't want to sell the way I wanted them to sell. But the way I was selling, I knew I could replicate that over and over again, right? You want a sales process that's easy to replicate. And if everyone's doing their own thing, you can't replicate it. And if you can't replicate it, you can't scale it. So I want to make sure that their sales philosophy is similar to mine. So another question I might ask them is, what's the last book that you've read about sales or the last coach that you hired about sales, right? I want to see that the closer is constantly investing into themselves, right? I want to see that they're trying to improve, that they're trying to level up. I don't want a team that wants to stay stagnant. They're comfortable because they're closing at 30%. I want them to always want more. I want them to keep progressing. That's going to separate a good sales team from a bad sales team, right? All right, so let's talk about Hell Week training and how we train so that we can create closers that are literally like SMMA sales ninjas, right? That's what we're trying to create. So my question to you is, do police officers, firefighters, and doctors, do they just get certified and trained and then they're done? They never train again? The answer is no, right? That's not the case. They train nonstop, and in some cases, they train more than they actually perform their jobs. And Abe Lincoln said, if you give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, the first 4 are going to be to sharpen the axe. So if the most important jobs in our communities train every single day, why don't the most important jobs in our companies train every single day? So some non-negotiables, daily training. You have to train your team every single day. And this is one of the most common mistakes I see so many agency owners completely just fail at when it comes to building a sales team, right? They think they train the closers for like a week or 2 weeks straight, and then maybe they'll talk to the closer every couple of days. No, you need to be talking to your sales team every single day. It's super important. And let's go ahead and break down what training actually looks like, right? And I'm sorry to disappoint guys, but I need to apologize in advance because it's super basic, right? We're going over wins, projections, call reviews / role plays. It's nothing sexy, it's nothing crazy. It's the basics, but the basics work, right? Do the boring work. If you do the boring work, you will succeed. So Cole Gordon coined it the big 3, right? Daily training, qualitative data, and then quantitative data, right? So we're gonna break all of it down for you in a second. Sales is the only department that requires energy. Media buyers can still do their job if they aren't motivated. Salespeople cannot. Energy is literally the culture. And the great Peter Drucker, and if you don't know who he is, he's probably one of the most famous and well-known consultants for American corporations in our lifetimes, right? And he said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Right? So we must bring the energy on these meetings and keep it high, which is why we do one-on-ones to make sure that the team is doing well. And I'm going to talk about that here in a second. So make sure you stay tuned. So a few must-haves, right? We have to have a leaderboard. So whenever someone closes a deal, let's say you have 3 people on your team, we want to have a scoreboard in Slack, right? And I did a tour of my entire 7-Figure Agencies Slack channel, and you guys can check that video up here, right? So we want to list out all the different closers, and we want to put a crown next to the closer that has closed the top deals. Closers are super competitive, so we need them to keep score, right? Because that's going to give them that intrinsic motivation to keep pushing, to keep fighting, because they're going to want to win at the end of the day if you hired the right closer. right? Then you want to have a ring the bell channel. Whenever a close comes in, you want a closer to get that sense of an instant gratification, right? Where they get that dopamine rush, like, hey, I just closed the deal. So whenever a closed deal comes in, we have a Slack channel called Ring the Bell, and a close is going to populate in that Slack channel, and the entire company is going to see it. And then that closer is going to feel really good because everyone's going to say congratulations, you know, clapping on the closer, motivating them to keep going, right? And then that's going to motivate all the other closers, like, oh shoot, XYZ just closed a deal, I need to step up my game. So we want to have a ring the bell channel or something where people can see that a deal just got closed, and the closer can also get rewarded by getting congratulations and, you know, special praise in that Slack channel, right? Then we want to do competitions. So every single month I would do a competition with my sales team, right? Top closer of the month this month gets $2,000. Top closer of the month gets, you know, a Tesla for a day that I'll rent for them, or a Lamborghini for a day that I'll rent for them, right? You always want to give some, or top closer for the month gets double commissions, right? I'll literally double the commissions for the top closer. So instead of getting, let's say 10%, now they're getting 20%. Or, hey, the person who can close the most deals today is gonna get double commissions, right? You want to do these little incentives that's going to push your team, and they're gonna want to win the competition, right? They're going to want to win at the end of the day, because once again, if you hired the right closer, then they're going to have a winner mentality, and they're not going to want to lose, right? Next is end of day reports, and I'm going to show you guys what end of day reports look like. But these reports are super important because this is going to give you the qualitative data to figure out how your closer is feeling, right? We're going to check in with them on their energy levels, on their mindset. We're going to make sure that they're not about to sink into a rut, right? Because that's the last thing that we want. We want to prevent closers from going to ruts, and that's why we do end of day reports, so that we can spot that stuff before it actually happens. Then we have KPI tracking. This is the quantitative data, right? This is where we're seeing, hey, why does this closer have a 60% offer rate, right? That means they have a 40% disqualification rate. Why are they disqualifying so many people? That typically insinuates that the closer might be burnt out, or they're getting into a rut, right? So we want to make sure that they have a high offer rate. We want to check in on these KPIs because they're super important to figure out what the closer is struggling with and where their mindset's at, right? Is their close rate at KPI? Are they at least a 20% close rate? What's their show rate? Why is their show rate at 30% where everyone else's show rate is at 70%? Are they not confirming their appointments, right? So we want to check in on this data every single day when we're managing a sales team, because if something's out of whack, we can go ahead, diagnose it, figure out who the problem is in the company, right? And we can isolate that problem and take that closer out, or figure out what we need to do, whether that's going to be fire them, putting them on a PEP. So all in all, the KPI tracking is going to allow us to figure out what's going on. Are we moving in the right direction, or are we not? And if we're not, then we can go ahead and fix that by figuring out what the biggest problem is. And the only way we can do that is if we have actual data, because we don't want to make emotional decisions, guys. We want to make logical decisions if we want to scale to 7 figures. And I can tell you, 7-figure entrepreneurs don't make decisions based off emotions. They make it based off logic, and they reinforce it with the data, and that's why with KPI tracking is so important. Then we want to give them top closer status in Slack. So next to the closer's name, we have it bracketed and it says top closer. And what's that doing to them mentally, right? All the other closers are seeing that person in Slack, and they see top closer, top setter, and that's going to make other people want that same badge or that award, right? And since we work in a virtual company, that's like the equivalent of saying, hey, this preferred parking spot is for the top team member, right? So that's kind of our equivalent since we work in a virtual environment, and that's what you should be doing in your agency too. You don't just have to do that with closers. You can do that with media buyers. You can do that with your CSM, right? Who's performing at the highest level? Top employee, right? You can do stuff like that. Award your team, reward them, and gamify it. And one way to do that is by giving them badges, and Slack is a great place to do that. Next thing is in-person retreats. This is so important for the culture, right? We flew our entire team out to Costa Rica, 20 plus people, and we flew them out. We had this amazing mansion, we took them on a yacht, they had a private chef, and we just had a great time. What do you think this did for the culture? Everyone's so used to working on the computers, working remotely, but when we got them in the room together, they were able to build real friendships, right? And one of the best ways to figure out if you have a good culture in your company, ask your team, do you have a best friend at work? If they don't have a best friend at work, then quite frankly, your culture probably sucks, right? They're probably not friendly with their other team members, right? You want them to have best friends. You want them to feel good about showing up to work, because when they feel good, they perform good, right? So culture is so important. That's why we do team retreats. So here's an example of what the leaderboard looks like, and you guys can see Ryan's at the top. He's got his crown, and that's going to make everyone else want to achieve that. So the person at the bottom, Renee, she's like, oh my goodness, I'm falling behind. I see where I'm at in this week, and this leaderboard gets updated every single day whenever there's a new close. So that's gonna just push them and motivate them once again. All right, so this is an example of what the EOD template actually looks like. So we're figuring out what their total contract value is, their total cash collected, total calls scheduled, calls taken, offers made, enrollments, right? All of this stuff. And then we're figuring out, this is the most important thing, right? What's their physiology? What's their clarity, their necessity, inspiration? Did they operate at their full potential? Am I gonna hit projections today? How do I feel my overall performance was? This is so crucial to making sure you can make sure that your team is moving in the right direction, right? If they say like, I feel like a 6 for my energy levels, that's a huge red flag. I wanna have a one-on-one with that closer, with that setter. And I wanna figure out what I could do to help them with their energy levels, because I know if there's more days like that where they feel like a 6 or they feel like a 5 or they have a low score, then they're gonna start slacking off and sales are going to go down, and I don't want that to happen. So this is why this is so important and why you have to do EODs. If you guys want my EOD template as well, make sure you guys comment down below. I'll send it to you. I'm pretty much just giving everything away for free, right? All right, guys, let's go and break this down. So scaling to 6 figures is just SACA, right? Setting and closing appointments, as the great Joe Kaplan always says. Scaling to 7 figures is just SACA times 10, setting and closing appointments, right? So you can't do it yourself. You need a team. If you're 10xing your appointment flow, if you're 10xing the amount of closes you're getting, you need to develop a team, and you need a sales team, right? So Andrew Carnegie said, leave me my factories and grass will grow on my factory's floors. Leave me my people and we will build bigger and better factories. It comes down to your team. It comes down to your people. Take care of your people. Build a team, right? If you do that, there's no reason as to why you wouldn't be able to scale. So just get started. Just take action. Start filling up your calendar. Start getting 4 to 5 live appointments every single day. If you can do that, you can start building a team. You can start building a sales team. And I have a video that I'll link up below in the cards about how I got 400 SMA appointments in a single month. And you guys can watch that video and start implementing that today, right? You want to do these things because you want to start building a team. This is the only way you're going to scale to 7 figures. This is literally what separates the 6-figure agency owners from the 7-figure agency owners. It's the art of building a sales team, right? And in the beginning, quite frankly, you can still talk to all your clients and you're going to be the best person at that. If you go ahead and try to train an account manager, then you're pulling yourself away from sales. Sales are going to go down and then your agency is pretty much going to die. So if you start building a sales team now, then you can get out of sales and go into the back end and fix the back end, improve the back end, and create the best client experience possible. If you want to get clients better results, guys, you just have to get more clients, and you can't do that without a sales team. So with that being said, guys, I hope you got a ton of value from this video. If you guys have any questions, make sure you drop them below about building a sales team. Yo, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you liked it, make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on bell notifications so I can see you in the next one. And last but not least, make sure you guys check out one of these fire videos that the YouTube algorithm just hand selected for you. And guys, if you want to work with me on a one-on-one basis so I can help you scale your agency and take it to new heights like I've done in the past, because I've built 2 7-figure marketing agencies before I could legally drink, go ahead, click down below, fill out an application, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.